Hey everybody, this is Gamer Gurk here. I've decided to go ahead and do a little pickups video. I was very excited after many years of after having sold my original Sega Saturn, which I got from a Target for the wonderful clearance price of $40 brand new in box. Back in those days, the PlayStation basically had been out for a little while, and it was right there at the end where basically everybody had given up on the Saturn. Sega had given up on the Saturn, and they were basically clearancing them out pretty much everywhere. I happened to be working at a Walmart at the time, and I worked in the electronics department, so I also got a good deal on a lot of Saturn games then that they were clearancing out. So I picked up as many of them as I could after picking up the system for $40 and finding it to be like some of the best $40 that I'd ever spent on a video games console. I made the mistake years later of selling that system off along with an amazing collection that I had with games like Panzer Dragoon Saga as #1, Dragon Force, Guardian Heroes, a personal favorite, the Saturn version of Quake, along with some others. Great games like Duke Nukem, and quite a few others. I believe Shining the Holy Ark. I know those games now are going to be very difficult for me to reobtain, and some of them I've pretty much conceded to the fact that I may never get them back. But here's what I got now. I got a really good deal on this. I got the system, a arcade stick, the Virtua stick from Sega, and this bunch of games here. I'm going to go through. Everything works. I'm still going to be looking for a regular Saturn controller because the arcade stick, although good, especially with some of these games that I've got here, is just not very comfortable to use a lot of times. I would just prefer to have a regular Saturn controller. So I've got here the bootleg Sampler 1 and Sampler 2, which is also actually called Volume 1, but when you boot it up it says Volume 2. Got some game demos on there. Most everything seems to work. There's like one video that kind of crashes this, so if I just avoid that, then I can play the demos on here and play the demos here. Now this is what the arcade stick is great for. I've got here Virtua Fighter 2, the classic, and Battle Arena Toshinden, which I always thought was primarily a Sony game, but a PlayStation game, but I didn't know that it was for the Sega Saturn. It's actually pretty neat. I'm gonna have to go ahead and I played through with one of the characters and got one of the endings, but I'm gonna go through and play some more. Here's a couple other cool games. Myst, the classic point-and-click adventure game, which actually I never played. I had a friend of mine that had always kept up with like the latest PC games, and I watched him play it. I watched him play Riven, but I never got that, even when I did get a CD-ROM drive for my PC. Hexen, of course, a classic first-person shooter. So I've got a few genres here. I've got fighting. I've got point-and-click adventure. I've got Hexen here for a first-person shooter, even though it's a fantasy setting. Now here's a couple of things that are great games that I remember. I had Daytona USA and I had the Sega Rally Championship. Now it's great to have those back, although I'm going to be trying to find the Champion Edition, I believe, of Daytona USA, which was a bit better. One that I never had before until now, Sega Touring Car Championship. This, from the little bit that I've messed with it, kind of seems like it was basically Sega trying to compete with Gran Turismo. Of course, horrible idea back then. They weren't able to actually pull that off until, I believe it's called Sega GT on the Dreamcast, which I also have. Now here's actually something that brings back some memories, a game that I didn't have before, and I've never really played a whole lot of, the original Tomb Raider. And I had this, or a friend of mine actually came over and he showed me his Sega Saturn, and that's what actually got me interested in picking one up. He showed me Tomb Raider, and he showed me the Sega Saturn version of the first Resident Evil. Okay, and finally here I've got a few other cool games, but I'm gonna need a light gun, even though you can play these without the light gun. We got Virtua Cop 2, which I think is the better game. And here's a pretty fun old arcade game, another shooter, Area 51, another light gun shooter. But fortunately you can play these all with the arcade stick or a regular controller. Let's see. Final couple games here. Center Ring Boxing and PGA Tour 97. I've tried all of these games except for I just recently tried Center Ring Boxing. It's pretty hilarious. It looks like I'm gonna need a memory card though for that, because you have to make your own boxer when you start before you can even do anything. They don't give you a ton of options, but it's kind of cool. PGA Tour I'm not sure about yet. And finally, what Sega collection would not be complete with at least one Sonic the Hedgehog game? And well, the one that actually came in the system when I bought this package at the local pawn shop was Sonic 3D Blast. I've played around with this one a little bit, and even though I have actually played the Sega Genesis version, it seems like this is just basically a better looking version. I think it actually is using probably real polygons and not just fake ones like the Genesis was using. But I'm not really sure on that. I'd have to research it more. But it actually controls pretty decently with the arcade stick. It seems like kind of an arcadey style Sonic game. So I may be putting up gameplay videos of some of these. If anybody has any requests, would like to see some gameplay of some of these, just, please comment and I will see if I can't do that for you. Of course, I'm going to have to film it with this camera because I do not yet have a capture card, but I try to set things up pretty decently so you're not looking at a glaring screen. And this is a pretty high quality camera that's on my cell phone here. I believe it's actually a 1080p camera, so it picks up pretty well, converts to YouTube pretty nicely. So I would just like to say this is Gamer Gurk. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like my video. And live long and game on.